What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Daniel Williams. This is the Cedar Ridge Chronicles. If y'all haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. And I'm going to show y'all today how we're going to put artificial velvet on a set of deer antlers. This is going to be my first attempt at this ever, and I'm really excited because I've got several deer to do that were velvet bucks, and after watching some tutorials and stuff on this, I don't think it's going to be very hard. This is going to be the first rack that we're going to do. Really pretty little buck that was killed back during early bow season, actually in Alabama. All right, now this is the new contraption that we have bought. It's called a Static King. It comes with a lead, and this lead will plug into the device and clip with this alligator clip onto the base of those antlers. And what it will do, it will charge the antlers to where they'll have like static electricity in them. What you do is you paint them. We've got this velvet base, Scenes in Nature cells. You put that on the antlers and it's like a brown base coat. Then your fiber tack, which is your glue. And then this right here, which is a kit to do whitetails, and it's two different colors of flocking. One is a light brown and the other is a dark brown. The light brown fibers are a little bit longer. You start with those first and you cover the antlers, and the dark brown are a little bit shorter. You start from the tips and work your way down to give that illusion of the darker tips on the antlers. Now, to get your hands on all of this stuff, the Static King is sold on Amazon. So I will have an Amazon link in the description below if you'll check it. Y'all can click on it and it'll take you directly to that product. These three right here, you can buy them on Scenes in Nature online, and you have to order these separately on that site to get in what you need to do a whitetail deer. They've also got stuff for caribou, elk, and other kinds of deer too. Okay, now let me show y'all what I've done with these antlers. I've taken Apoxie sculpt right here, which is what you'd use to pack a deer, to do all your finish work on the deer. Also, I've got a Amazon link in the description if you want an Apoxie sculpt too. But these antlers right here, you can see I have put epoxy on the tips of all these antlers. Where they were sharp, I've made bulbous ends on there just like they have when they're in velvet. See how that looks. The front edge of each tine, I've created webbing with epoxy. That's to give the illusion of that skin stretching across there while the deer is still in velvet. All right, so we're going to let that dry overnight, and then we're going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to do all the rest of the process. I'm going to walk y'all step by step through each little section, and that way y'all can see if there's any mistakes I make or anything that happens that I'm not expecting. Maybe it'll be a learning curve for both of us and it'll be something that y'all can prevent doing. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward, and I'm not too worried about it. But the cool thing about this is it's not like trying to preserve real velvet. It's going to be fixable. It's something that you can take off of there with sandpaper and redo if you need to. Or if it ever gets damaged, the deer falls off the wall or anything, you can also go back and you can repair that. So that's why I'm kind of excited to use this, because I feel like it's going to be something that is going to be easy, it's going to be fast, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. So it's going to be a cool thing to try out anyway. So we'll see y'all tomorrow. Just like that, it is tomorrow. So I've laid out some butcher paper just to keep the table clean. I'm going to try to save a little bit of these fibers as they fall, so that I can rake them back up, reuse them later. But I've got me some paint brushes, and I'm about to get started on our rack. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on one side of this. We're going to paint it with the velvet base. This base right here is not just ordinary paint. It is a sort of primer also. It bonds to this antler, and it will cause the fiber tack to bond to it rather than trying to stick to the regular bone by itself. I'm probably going to do this one side at a time, but I'm going to go ahead and paint both sides with this so that it can be drying. Once it's dry, we can start on one side with the fibers. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. And make sure too, y'all, that y'all use this right here instead of brown paint. This does have a different texture to it, and you can tell that it's made as a primer, not just as a paint. Okay, we've got our paint dry. I've got the Static King about, that's maybe a quarter of the way filled with the light velvet fibers out of this package. And the lid right here, when this comes off, there's a hole right there that's got a little screw in it. But it does have these locking edges on it. And it recommends tightening that screw down once you get this put on, but it clicks on and then locks into place. And I just don't see that going anywhere. So could be wrong, but I'm not going to use the screw. I just think it's going to work just fine. So you take your lead, plug the lead in just like that. All right, now we're going to paint on our fiber tack, and we're going to get this ready one side at a time to apply our fibers. Moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Got to connect the lead right there to the base. Turn this on. Start at the base of the antler. We're going to start sprinkling. Y'all, immediately you can see that standing on end. Check that out. That's crazy. It's not real easy to get in there with this little narrow rack, but this stuff is just sticking right to it. I mean, y'all, that is crazy looking. It's all just standing straight on end. Y'all can see it pulling the fibers. See where it's actually pulling the fibers out of the front of that? It's kind of amazing. Genius idea by whoever made this, invented this thing, by the way. Y'all work somewhere really clean. Put you down. I've got some butcher paper put down right here so that it stays nice and dry and clean. Just take these fibers that don't stick to the antler, throw it right back in there, and just keep going. Now, I'm going to pour this back in here. We're going to swap over to the dark fibers. We're going to go over the tips. These fibers are a lot shorter, and they really help to fill in those gaps if you missed any gaps in between where the glue is. All right, now, a few little stray, crazy looking fibers out there, but y'all check this out. I mean, is that not the coolest thing you've ever seen? Maybe it's not. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, that's absolutely beautiful. It looks great. The colors are awesome. They probably even look better in person than they do on the camera. I mean, it looks just like real velvet. I am just super excited about that. All right, well, let's get this other side ready. Guys, I believe we can call that finished. Let's take it outside and see what it looks like out here. Be a little bit different lighting. Yeah, y'all check that out. I mean, that is sharp. Turned out really, really good. Well, I really don't have any complaints. The only thing that I wish is that the lead was just a little bit longer. If y'all noticed in the video, there were times when I would hit the antlers with the cord, and sometimes it would rub a little bit of that off. In the Static King itself, I did use the 9-volt battery. You can buy a power supply for it and plug it into the wall, and they say that it will, give it a little bit more of a charge. But honestly, I don't see any need for it. I think it would just get in the way, and that 9-volt battery has plenty enough to do what I just did. As far as the fibers, the dark brown will be way more than enough probably to do 2 to maybe 4 deer. There's still a lot left in there. You don't use near as much of it as just a filler. This right here, I don't think I'm gonna have enough to do maybe a half of another deer. So on the light brown, if you've got, multiple racks to do, and especially if they're bigger racks, that deer right there probably won't score right around 100 inches. So you get a big 140, 160, some big rack. You may take 2 or 3 packages of that, of the light brown, longer fibers to fill all that in. But guys, before I let y'all go, I want to show y'all what we're going to do with this rack on an upcoming video. My customer had decided that he was going to mount this deer, and then a few weeks later ended up killing a really big buck and decided that rather than mount this deer, he asked me if I could put the rack back onto a skull. So now that we've got the velvet fixed, I've got a skull that I've already got cleaned up, bleached out, and we're going to fit this back onto this skull, epoxy over it, and paint it, make it match up. When I do that, I'm going to video all of that and show y'all how I make that happen. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget the links in the description below to buy some of these products. And y'all don't forget to subscribe if you hadn't already. Give me a thumbs up and comment if there's any questions that y'all might have. Really appreciate y'all watching. We'll see y'all next time.